This is the first video in a 3-part video series where we're going to make a hex grid system. It's inspired by a game, the game I have in the title. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a pretty cool building game. It's very chill, and we're going to build a system that functions similar to that. And then at the end, we're also going to make it so you can change the colors of your tiles with your scroll wheel. In this video, though, we're just going to make the camera system where you can zoom in, move side to side, and rotate your camera. After we have our blank Unreal project open up, there's going to be 4 main parts to this video. There'll be the initial setup of the camera and player, and we're going to hook that into a new game mode, which we're going to set up within the scene here. And the new player is just going to be a pawn, and it's going to be absolutely blank. The only thing we're going to add to it is a camera and then a spring arm, and then we're going to set up the logic for that to rotate, pan, and scroll in and out in the same way that the game does. And then we're also going to make a hex tile in Blender, and we're going to import that into Unreal. And those will be the main sections. The footage itself is a little bit out of order, but if you see on the bottom right, that is the initial setup you're going to want on begin play. We're just kind of throwing out some nodes to figure out how we want to set this up. And then we're going to get our camera system working, so we have controls to move the player around. I think I actually hook it up opposite than how it is in the game, where I have left mouse as the rotate and right mouse as pan, but I do correct that. And the images I show on the bottom right of each section indicate kind of what's going on. And for our hex here, we just created a cylinder with 6 sides, and then we're bringing it into Unreal. We saved the map here, cleaned out the map a little bit, the clouds, and then we're just setting up a very simple material for our hex, and we're applying that, and there it goes. Okay, so now that we have that, let's get the pan and rotate system working. For the pan system, what we need is the distance that the player moves the mouse across the screen. I'm also setting up a quick game just so you can exit easily if you make a package build. Okay, so we're saving the distance, and it's actually going to be a little trickier than you might think, because we have a perspective camera, so panning left to right is going to be a little bit different than panning up and down. It's not just going to be a one-to-one amount of pixels move because of the perspective on the camera. The perspective we put on the camera, we have it at a field of view of I think around 32, just so we have a little bit more isometric looking field of view versus the 90 field of view of the normal camera. It's not perfectly isometric, but 30 is quite narrow field of view, so it makes things look a lot more flatter and more like a board game. The rotation bit, or I think this is the panning section that we're setting up. Yeah, the rotation is quite easy. You just have it rotate whenever the player moves the mouse, and you can feed that almost directly into the camera's rotation. For the panning, we have to split apart panning up and down versus left and right. putting in the actor's forward vector and right vector, and then we're multiplying them by the location, the new location minus the previous location, which is going to be the amount of distance that the player pans whenever they click down. And then there's also going to be a slight modifier on those two values. So we're going to use -1 for the right vector, and then 1.6 for the forward vector, because it needs to pan a bit more for the forward vector versus the right vector. And then also the pan we need to scale as the player zooms in and out. So you see the rotations working there, and we're just setting up the pan. Here we're setting the mouse cursor to be shown when you play the game. And we had our Boolean set wrong there. And you notice you can scroll around. Okay, we're just going to label these sections. To the zoom in and zoom out, which is actually fairly easy. We're just going to hook the mouse wheel up and mouse wheel down, and we're going to attach it to the spring arm. The one thing to keep in mind with this is we need to change both the target arm length and the target offset, because if you change one without changing the other, the angle of your camera is going to change. And we want it to be a clean 45-degree angle looking down. So those two need to be equal. Nice thing is, once you have one set up, you can copy basically all of this and just paste it for the other one. I have 60, and for every scroll, I like that value of the scroll. But if you wanted to scroll in and out faster or slower, then you can absolutely change that. And then just make sure to change the scroll out or the scroll in to be -60. All right, this is the first part. See you all later.